This region is fortunate to have a number of assets, and key among them is the Hospice of the North Shore. The Hospice of the North Shore has an incredibly well-trained and compassionate staff that works with families through these very, very difficult times. They help all of the communities, 65 in fact, in this area. And we are very happy and fortunate to have the Hospice of the North Shore as an asset here.
Our family sends sincere thanks to all who cared for our mother, who made her smile when she was sad, who kept her warm with lovely prayer shawls, who comforted her when she was confused, and who reminded her when she was anxious that she was not alone, but surrounded by love. We are very grateful.
More than 30 years ago, Hospice of the North Shore made a promise to families of our communities. We will help to care for the dying, to allow terminally ill loved ones to spend their last days in comfort, peace, and dignity. Hospice of the North Shore is committed to keeping the promise when it matters most.
A great many families take advantage of the benefits that hospice has, including my own. My mother-in-law in 1991 was fairly sick, and of course the day came when the doctor said, "I think you should call hospice in." And that's when my wife called hospice, spoke to the head nurse. The head nurse came to the house, explained what they did, examined my mother-in-law, planned a treatment plan for her, made her comfortable, and then she sat down with Zelly and myself, and she explained to us really what the process of dying, what the patient goes through. And the interesting thing, another interesting about that whole scene with my first initiation with hospice, was that head nurse that was so helpful to us is our own Diane Stringer, the CEO of Hospice of the North Shore.
Hospice of the North Shore was started in 1978 by a group of committed volunteers who wanted to find a way to provide better emotional support and practical help to terminally ill patients.
I was among one of the earliest volunteers, and now there are 250. I'm sure each one of us feels we receive more than we give.
The Kaplan House was built in 2005 so that we could help families keep the promise they make to their loved ones to be at home or in a setting that's as close to home as possible at the end of life.
You know, the bank's relationship with hospice goes back many years and has taken many forms, starting with our sponsorship of the tree lighting ceremony in Danvers Square, to more recently when we helped construct and finance the Kaplan House. Now we have another opportunity with the expansion of the house to 20 rooms to become involved on yet another level. It's been a privilege for the bank to be a partner, and I hope it continues for many years to come.
In 2004, when the Hospice House was in construction, I looked at what Hospice House does. It was very exciting. I knew there was a great need in the community. And I spoke to my brother, William Kaplan, in Newburgh, New York. Now, Bill, through the Family Foundation, they already have a Kaplan Family House in Newburgh, New York, my hometown. So when I told him about the Hospice House and how excited I was about it, that's all I had to do. The next thing I knew, Bill said, "Well, let's get into it."
Shortly after we opened, it became apparent that the 12 beds aren't sufficient to meet the growing need in the community for the special care that's provided here. So in order to continue keeping the promise, we launched a building project to add 8 additional patient suites in the Ayer Anderson Wing.
I'm a member of both the Loring and the Ayer families, and we've had quite an involvement with Hospice of the North Shore. Most recently, my cousin, Hilda Ayer Anderson, was a major benefactor of the wing that is being constructed. She made it clear that she was determined to try to help finance this Ayer Anderson wing that's under construction. Our experience with Hospice of the North Shore, including with my mother, Rosemary Merrill Loring, were very positive with everything that Hospice of the North Shore did to help her towards the end of her life.
People who come to the Kaplan House invariably comment on the beautiful surroundings, the lovely architecture, the gardens, all of the things that just create a wonderful, serene, tranquil environment. But what truly sets the Kaplan House apart is the amazing care that's provided by our staff and also our volunteers.
About a year ago, a little over a year ago, my seemingly healthy husband was diagnosed with advanced lung cancer, which had metastasized to many organs in his body. And we were shocked because he was playing golf and writing every day, and we didn't know he was sick. Then they told us that there was nothing they could do medically for him, and that he really didn't have very long to live. I asked him how he saw the end, and he said he didn't want any pain. He was afraid of the pain, and he wanted to be taken care of. Well, I knew that hospice was going to be my answer. I asked him what he wanted at the end of his life. You see, he only lived 8 weeks after the diagnosis, so we had a very short time, and he had to prepare himself to die. He wrote poems at the end of his life called Endpoint about the dying experience, and that was very important, to get that down on paper, which he did. We thought, because something had happened, and medically I don't know, and I don't really need to know, that he would be better at Kaplan House, where he could get the nurses to tend to him round the clock as needed. We knew that the nursing staff was doing anything that needed to be done. I don't know how to do medications, so that this was so important. I knew he wasn't in pain, and I didn't have to worry about it because the nurses could do what needed to be done. And that was a great comfort to me. And they gave me exactly what we wanted, was for the two of us to be alone at the very end, the last half hour. And they made it possible.
Hospice of the North Shore has enjoyed a wonderful partnership with the community since our inception. And when the Kaplan House was only our dream, we turned to the community, and so many individuals and families and area businesses and certainly volunteers stepped forward to help us make that dream a reality. And when the need for the Ayer Anderson Wing and the expansion became apparent, once again the community came forward and was very, very generous to us. We are very grateful.